iPhone 13 Pro Max versus iPhone 12 Pro Max speed test coming up. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Welcome to my iPhone 13 Pro Max versus iPhone 12 Pro Max speed test. Let's begin with a boot up in 3, 2, 1. Now we're coming off the heels of the Galaxy S21 Ultra versus the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but the 12 Pro Max was the previous beast before this one, and it still remains a beast. Don't get it twisted. I just kind of want to see how much better is the iPhone 13 Pro Max in performance, and it boots up about a second or so quicker than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, so not a major change so far right there. Now when it comes to biometrics, you'll see that Apple didn't really change much here. The iPhone 13 Pro Max unlocks in the same exact fashion and around the same speed as the iPhone 12 Pro Max, as you'll see right here. There's no major change whatsoever. So if you were expecting Face ID to maybe get quicker, they didn't even mention much about this at the event or anything like that. So definitely not a strong suit this year. Biometrics did not get any quicker. They're still great to have Face ID, but it depends on if you're using a mask or not. Still, you know, it's going to be a pretty good system overall. All right, guys, so before we go on to the app test, let's talk the 120 hertz versus the 60 hertz. Now, this is going to be the most immediately apparent thing about the iPhone 13 Pro Max versus the 12 Pro Max. Now, in video, I'm only running at 60 hertz, so you might not be able to see the exact difference, but it's really going to come in the way of scrolling. So let's go ahead and go to the Apple Store on both of them, and I'm going to show you, maybe you can see this, but when you scroll there, it's a really smooth scroll right there. When we go here, it's also smooth, but there's a slight bit of chop on that by comparison. Now let's go ahead and go to Apple News here. We'll go here to the news. We're going to go ahead and just find any old article. Actually, let's go to following. I'm going to go to a tech article over here, Apple Newsroom. Let's go ahead and see this article right here. Apple introduces new ways to explore new maps in 3D. So let's go ahead, scroll there on this iPhone and see if you could see that. Now scroll here on this iPhone. Tell me if you see the little chop. I'm not sure if you're going to see it, but it's definitely apparent. This is something that's more of a feeling thing. You're going to have to feel it out in the real world. But I will say, once you see the 120 hertz, once you get used to it, it's all these micro little things that are just a little bit smoother every day over the iPhone 12 Pro Max that will add up to an experience. Whereas if you went back to the 12 Pro Max, you'll actually notice the display is slower and it'll feel a little bit jarring to the eye. You could get used to it again, but you're not going to want to go back once you try out the 120 hertz. All right, guys, so we've arrived at the app test. Let's go to Geekbench and show you A14 Bionic over here with a 2.99 gigahertz clock speed, 6 gigs of RAM. This one has the A15. It is clocked in at 3.23 gigahertz with 6 gigs of RAM. So a slightly higher clock speed. You know, it is a evolution of the A14 CPU with the same amount of RAM. So if you see, if I close everything out, nothing is open now. We'll go into Instagram and you'll see Instagram fires open on the right. And some people will say, Nick bro, wait until these apps get updated. We can wait, we can rerun all these tests. The fact of the matter is it's going to be similar because these apps or these CPUs are actually very similarly powerful on both. Let's go into Twitter. I don't think the results are going to change much regardless of if the developers, you know, put a new app update out for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. What, you're going to get a millisecond difference? Let's go into Amazon, because right now the 13 Pro Max is performing about as fast and smoother display than my 12 Pro Max. So I don't even see a major difference in that element. Let's go into Best Buy. Although it's a little bit disappointing that, you know, you pay, you know, over $1,000 to upgrade and then you don't see major performance gains in terms of the stuff you do every day. You know, that's why I really love the 120 hertz for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, because it's a very visual, noticeable change. And once you get used to that 120 hertz, it's really hard to go back to the 60 hertz. But if you never used the 120 hertz, you're probably not going to care. So I would recommend not using it if you don't want to be bothered by a 60 hertz. I don't even recommend, if you don't even plan to update, don't go to the store and play with the 13 Pro Max, because it's going to get you. It's going to make you want it because it's super smooth, it's slick, and it's very visually noticeable, especially if you play with it for a little bit, you scroll through some apps, you're going to notice it at the store. Let's go into PUBG Mobile now, and we'll see which one can load this game up first. A little bit more intensive here. We are going to push these in video rendering a little bit later in this video, so stay tuned. But it looks like they're both taking a bit of time here. Looks like the A15 in the lead. So again, just like every year, it's the same story. It's going to boost you up in speed in the game and give you a little boost in video rendering. And you'll see right here that they're loading up some pop-ups here. Yeah, they were pretty similar, but I would say that the iPhone 13 Pro Max was in the lead to get to the home screen. Wants me to go to inventory. Let's go ahead and hit this, hit the X button here, and let's go ahead now and hit start match to see which one can get into the match first. And this is really going to come down to if we can find the match, but overall I gotta say, you know, 13 Pro Max gonna boost you up a bit here, and gaming, it's gonna be more fun just simply because, yeah, they're not finding a match on the 12 Pro Max. It's not totally fair anymore. But what I'm going to tell you is that, you know, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, where you'll really just feel it, is having those 120 hertz smoothness on the games. It's just going to be noticeable, and that for gamers, I think that's a real reason to upgrade. However, I'm hearing rumors of a total redesign, so you're going to have the 120 hertz and you're going to have a redesign with the iPhone next year possibly, so you might even consider waiting that out. Let's go into Temple Run 2, and you'll see Temple Run 2, a more casual basic game here, so I don't expect major differences at all, but the iPhone 13 Pro Max in the lead just by a hair. But both of these can rip through these little basic games. I mean, the iPhone SE can run this game really easily as well with the A13 Bionic. This is nothing for these phones, but I like to show them anyway because they're casual things you might open when waiting for the train or something like that. You can see we're now in Lightroom, and 13 Pro Max might have had that by a little. And when doing editing and things like this, you're gonna have no issues at all. Both of them will rip through these things. These are mobile based applications designed for iPhone. Let's go into Geekbench 5, and you'll see earlier, now this is an app that does need to be updated for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So the 12 Pro Max did win that one out, so that one I'll give you. But let's go into iMovie, and you'll see about the same. Let's go into Luma, and you'll see 13 Pro Max might be by a hair. And again, on the timeline, it's a very small detail, and you're not going to see it in this video, but it does feel smoother on the finger when you are going through the timeline on that smoother new display. Again, it's something you'll have to feel it out in person. Let's go into 3D Mark Wildlife, and you'll see very close, maybe the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Let me know down below on that one. Let's go into Speed Test, and you'll see open those about the same time. So overall, I would say, you know, slight gains, very minimal gains to the iPhone 13 Pro Max in real world everyday app opening. I don't think the average person is going to notice it's any faster. They're going to notice how much smoother and quicker that display feels. Okay, so let's go back through them and see if we do get any reloads on either phone. We'll go into 3D Mark, we'll go into Luma, we'll go into iMovie, and the gestures, man, on these iPhones, just butter. Let's go into Lightroom. You know how butter be melting on the pan and it just slides off? Yeah, that's kind of how it feels on your finger right here on these iPhones, and it gets even slicker on that 13 Pro Max. So they are loading up the videos there, but that's not really a reload. We'll go into Starbucks, we'll go into Best Buy, and we'll go into eBay, and doing good. Amazon, doing good on both. Twitter, good on both. Instagram, good on both. So very good in the RAM management. 6 GB of RAM on either. I don't expect either to outperform either when it comes to this area. And as we did in the prior video, I'm going to go ahead and run the Sunspider test on both of them to see how well Safari does. And it looks like the iPhone 13 Pro Max just blew away this test right here. You'll see it refresh this thing at 79.5. iPhone 12 Pro Max not that far behind, 90.5. So bit faster internet performance on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. All right, so I have the same videos on both of them, and I can tell you iMovie has been very well optimized forever for iPhone, so it's not going to be that much different of an experience. But let's go ahead and see which one can save this video faster. This is a 4-minute video. Let's go ahead and hit save, and we'll see which one can finish this export first. I will be back when they are done. Okay, so the 13 Pro Max did finish this faster, and not by a lot, but this is a 4-minute video. It's a 1080-60. I do believe as the video clip gets longer, the A15 will showcase more of its CPU power. So if you're editing a big project on the iPhone 13 Pro Max and then on the 12 Pro Max, you might beat it out in a render by a few seconds to a minute longer, you know, faster speed on the render. So this is where it really does show its performance prowess. Let's go into Luma Fusion. I got the same clip on here as well, lots of different clips in here. This is a 4K video. I'm gonna go ahead and save this video right here, and you can go ahead and see how fast this one does its export as well. So we're gonna go to movie, we're gonna save it to the photos section. This is at 4K at 30, as you can see up there. And let's go ahead and save this thing out in 3, 2, 1. And it's gonna write this movie again, 5 minutes and 19 seconds right there. So I'll be back when they are done. All right, so they both literally finished at around the same exact time. This is a 5 minute and 19 second clip. So this can be argued that maybe Luma will update to enhance the performance for A15 Bionic, but if it was so much more powerful, wouldn't you think it would have just blew it away? All right guys, so I'm gonna close all these applications out, and then we're gonna go ahead and do a Geekbench test. So everything closed out, Geekbench 5, CPU. Over here again, it takes a little bit longer to load, and we'll hit run benchmark, and I'll be back when they are done. All right, so the final scores are in. You see the 13 Pro Max did finish it out first, and it does get a better score on both single and multi. But take a look at that single. Not a major disparity between both of them. Why is that important? Because when we're just opening up applications and regular day-to-day use, it's only gonna be using single core mostly. When you're really pushing it, it'll go multi, and that's where you see the hair of a bit better performance on the video rendering for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I don't think this is a major update for CPU year for iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's more about the battery, the camera, and that 120 Hertz display. So you've seen it here. And so that's gonna wrap it up between iPhone 13 Pro Max and iPhone 12 Pro Max in the area of speed. You know, you have 5G on both. You have very fast, blazing fast CPUs on both Apple Silicon inside here, iOS 15 on both. Really, all you're really gonna upgrade to here is that smoother display is what you're really gonna notice. Again, that smoother display, that smoother display, that smoother display. That's what you're really gonna notice on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. If you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click that like button for me. If you have the 13 Pro Max, share your experience if you upgraded. If you have the 12 Pro Max, share your experience, what you think you're gonna do. If you're gonna stick with it till the next redesign, let us know what your next plans are and what you wanna see going forward for the 13 Pro Max as well as the other 13s. Don't worry, I got the other 13 content coming soon as well. Subscribe for more. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.